to ECCSC Live. I'm your host, Tyrone Muhammad. We have another exciting show for you today. On my right here, as you all may know, the one and only Representative State Rep LaShawn Ford. LaShawn Ford, thank you for showing up.
Thank you very much, Tyrone Muhammad.
Listen, I advise y'all, I encourage you all to stay tuned, tune in, and call in live and get your questions or your answers ready for a state rep. We'll be talking today about violence prevention and a number of other topics related to that, such as job opportunity, training for our young men, mentorship, substance abuse counseling. Those are the various topics I think we could tackle, and whatever else it is that you would like to talk about. We welcome your comments, suggestions, and like I say, call somebody, tell them to tune in, call somebody, tell them to call in. So without any further delay, I would like to have State Rep Ford introduce himself properly and tell you about the initiatives that we are putting forth in the near future. State Rep?
Well, thank you, Brother Muhammad, and the ex-cons for community and social change.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate being a friend of you and your organization. And what we're doing together is coming together as men. You know, we accept all men and women, but mostly what you said and what I bought into is that we have to make sure that we be fair and make sure that people that's doing the work out here are able to do the work and that there's funding for them to do the work. It's so very important that people that are considered ex-cons, one thing, it's amazing because it's something that ex-offenders and people that talk about ex-offenders, they try to cakewalk it and try to sugarcoat it. And you taught me, you said, no, there's no sugarcoating it.
No, sir.
You know, ex-cons are ex-cons. But, people say, I'm no ex-offender, I'm no this, I'm no that. But you say, that's not true.
That's not true. Because that particular narrative, State Rep, is that on the books, people, although we have paid our debt to society, the books still have us down as felons.
Right.
We're still down as convicted felons. We still consider ex-convicts. We was convicted. People, don't make no mistake about it. We was convicted, and after serving our time as the judge or jury of our quote-unquote so-called peers has deemed based on the Constitution, and we was placed in a facility. Mm-hmm. Most of us are model citizens. That's why guys get released from prison. They become model prisoners. Mm-hmm. So if they did continue to perform criminal activity while incarcerated, they would get more time. So once we are released from society, from those institutions,
you're ready.
We're ready now.
To a certain degree.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Or supposedly. We're ready now to be a part of society again. That means all rights restored.
Oh. That's what it's supposed to mean.
Yes,
okay.
But unfortunately, our convicted status seems to always take precedent over the time we served, the time we was given, as though serving time, State Rep, wasn't enough.
Right. So it's actually the conviction is a life sentence.
Yes, sir.
And we were talking about taking a trip in October.
Yes.
October 5th to Stateville's Correctional Center, and the conditions in the correctional facilities for all of the prisons are not what we call correctional.
Yes, sir.
And so we know that previously there's been a lot of cuts, and people that go to prison, most likely 80% of them return back to the communities. It's only a few percentages, if 10% that's got life sentences that probably will never see the streets again. But the majority of the prisoners, they come home and they've been locked away without any training, without any way of reintegrating into society as productive citizens. So we talked about there's been a lot of shutdowns. We talked about possibly going down to Statesville prison and getting family members, friends, brothers, everybody that have someone or love someone or that believes that people in prison should be treated fairly. We talked about going down on October 5th to make sure that we advocate for them so that our streets can become safer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And on that note, also violence prevention. That's been like the quintessential word lately for politicians, civic social leaders, and all these individuals who claim to be concerned about violence in our community. Violence is as old as America. Let's not act as though violence just started. In this case, State Rep, our people, our women, our children, our communities are victimized by violence more than any other community. And we have an absence of black men and black fathers. Hence, ECCSC, ex-cons for community and social change, we saw the need because we was a part of the problem to then try to do something about the gang, drugs, and violence. So talk to us, the people, about the violence and what we're doing.
You know, Brother Muhammad, I think that coming together, we've had lots of meetings, and I think it's great to say that there's been a lot of people in the community that say that they have answers and solutions to the problems, but they really don't understand the communities that they are trying to help. They never really listen to the people that's in the communities. They just say, we got the money and we're coming in.
Yes,
but
sir.
that doesn't work. You have to put the money and you have to budget for results. And what we see right now happening in the state of Illinois, you see lots of money on the streets on the west side of Chicago and on the south side of Chicago, but it's not appropriately placed. And so you're giving it to the wrong people, and they really don't understand or care to solve the problem.
So, State Rep, in that case, why is it so hard for grassroots people who I can identify 10 organizations that I could give funding to or resources to that don't seem, and they're doing good work in the neighborhood, but the resources don't seem to trickle down, never seem to trickle down. Why is it so hard to get resources in the hands of the community workers and the activists that's actually on the ground?
See, I'm glad you asked that question because you've seen movements.
Yes, sir.
You've seen movements of the civil rights movement in the early 60s, and then you saw the women's movement, and you see the gay and lesbian movement, you see the immigration movement that's constantly going. But when you think about all those movements, it's a real movement. You have people immigrants, illegal immigrants, that's fighting for a right to be in America. And you see them in mass numbers. You see the gay and lesbian community making sure that their rights are protected, their human rights are protected in mass numbers.
Yes.
In the 60s, you saw us fighting for the right to sit at the lunch counter in mass numbers. You saw people out there. I have yet to see the ex-con community fight for themselves. That's the only way it's going to work.
Yes, sir.
Right now, what's happening, the ex-con community is being, quote, manipulated by the people that's smart enough to go into the rooms and ask for the money and say, I want to help the people with backgrounds. But the people with the backgrounds will not come together and fight for themselves.
Sure.
So in the last election, there were 60 million people that elected the president of the United States.
Yes, sir.
There are over 100 million people with a background of some sort, whether it's a felony, misdemeanor, or arrest record.
That's right.
And every one of those people have a family member, friend, loved one. You're talking about hundreds of millions of people that could come together and start a movement for ex-cons to have their rights back, to have their rights restored. But until ex-cons realize that they have constitutional rights that they have to make sure are restored, it's never going to happen.
But see, that's another question, State Rep. Like, there's a thing called taxation without representation.
Right.
And most ex-cons that I know, majority, have jobs.
That's good.
But they have no one representing them. Isn't it fair to say, do we have a constitutional right to not pay taxes since everything is shed out on us from housing
Right.
to job opportunity and various discrimination?
Right.
We're not being represented. You're the closest thing to a representative for a formerly incarcerated man that I've seen. So I'm saying to you, isn't there a case? Do we have a civil rights violation? Do we have a constitutional violation or claim right now?
You do. And the EEOC stated in their briefing that the employment agencies, any business, they have no right to reject you for having a background. Of course. So there are civil rights violations, but someone's got to sue. You know, there's always a case for keeping things the way they are so that people could continue to make money. With Donald Trump being the president of the United States, you know, there is this belief, and we do know that the New York Times put out a statement today that there are 6.1 million jobs that's available that are not filled. Which means that all of the people that have criminal background workers that can't find a job, there are 6.1 million, but we have to make sure that they get trained. So there are CDL licensed, there are all sorts of jobs that are with technology that we could make sure that people that have backgrounds could get. But it seems to me that the powers to be that's working with the money for ex-cons, they want this cycle to continue, you know, and that's a problem.
You mentioned ex-cons not learning, although I believe that the psychological, the social, mental, psychological aspect that a lot of the brothers are under, it's like we need, man, my family, I don't want to talk about prison no more, I've done that time, and then they end up working for these groups that usurp their energies and power from them, like you say, and they get funding to use men like those ex-cons to go in these communities while they get peanuts and crumbs for doing what they should be doing anyway.
You know, there is no way that the gay and lesbian community would have a straight person running their organization.
That's right. And no doubt about it.
You know,
because the sensibilities, what you know about being gay, what you know about being lesbian.
It's not going to happen.
So why hire you a white man over me, telling me how I should conduct myself in stopping violence and mentoring young black men?
I tell you, I was at a sunrise mass, and Cardinal Supich, they introduced the person that the Cardinal named as the person in charge of inner city violence. He's a white man.
Wow.
I just couldn't figure it out. Now, I'm a Catholic, just want you to know, but when I saw the white man that was in charge of inner city violence that was appointed by the Cardinal, it sort of disturbed me.
So, cure violence, ceasefire, although I commend them for the work that they do, you said even those organizations are headed by white males?
You know, I'm not sure, but I do know Cure Violence. Which one is that?
I don't know.
Is that the one that was Ceasefire?
And what is it? That's the name now?
Yeah, that Ceasefire, it's got a new name. That's a white person. Yeah, most of the agencies are headed up by or run by or started by whites.
I've heard several times people keep talking about this $90 million Ani Duncan received.
Oh yeah.
Do you know anything? Can you expound on that?
He got money from one of the wealthy people? I don't know if it's Bill Gates or to rehab houses in Roseland and some of the distressed communities. Yeah, but
how's that project?
I have no idea. I have not been a part of it. I haven't been consulted, and I've been doing real estate for over 25 years.
Wow.
And I know real estate if nothing else. But that's fine. I mean, I'm just saying that there are many people. I know a friend, Cedric Hunter. He's got a real estate company, and he's been doing real estate. His father started the real estate company that was passed down. He's not a part of it. You know, the banks, when they come into the community, there are no black real estate agents pretty much running all of the foreclosures. You know, it's just unfortunate.
And when we talk about violence, it's hard not for me to mention the number of liquor stores in our community.
Yeah.
And us not really having a stake in those stores and liquor companies in stores in our community. What power do we have to shut them down or to transfer authority and power to us? Isn't it something we can do as a community because from what I understand, I don't think or believe 10% of the profits made from those stores go back in the community.
Oh, no, without a doubt. Well, I would say 10% may go back because a lot of them, they pay sales tax. And now when you say profit.
I'm talking about profit.
Right, now when you say profit, now is it their responsibility to put their profits back in? Or is it their responsibility to pay their mortgage, pay their light, gas bill, keep the property nice, provide a quality service? What else should they do? Pay their property taxes and things like that. How much who says that a company has to put their profits back in? I mean, that's just a question.
That's a good question, but I would say, and I would challenge them that if no one come through them doors, then you lose all profits.
Right.
So I'd rather have 90% of something.
Oh, you know what?
Than 10%.
But they won't. But the community won't do that. Why won't they come out and say, "We allow you to be in this community,
and we patronize you"?
Yeah, but it's something where if they leave, just imagine if the Arabs left and the other people that run stores and our Koreans, we as a race struggle to get the financing to open up the businesses. What will we have in our communities if the
foreigners leave?
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that we can't come together and as a community and march on the banks and say that you have to help us provide resources for our community.
But this is what I'm looking at. And I wonder why the young men think the way they think out in the streets. Because it's like our elders that's in business, that's in real estate, has dropped the ball on the community. Meaning that how is it, even if the bank don't finance those stores or opportunity, we have enough money among churches and organizations and business owners and African American store owners, businessmen, to open up anything we want in our community. Why is that so hard?
You know, that's amazing that you say that because it seems to me that blacks don't want to invest in their own community. That's what it appears. If you're saying that there's a lot of money, well, why are blacks not opening up the stores that we need? I mean, that's a good question.
And another question, State Rep, is the other representatives in Springfield. Mm-hmm. So, the Springfield, help me figure this out. Congressmen, state reps, state senators, who I'm missing that work in Springfield.
Oh, so you have in Springfield, you have the executive branch, right, the governor, you have the attorney general, you have the treasurer, the comptroller, and you have the senators, and you have the state reps.
So how many of those positions and posts are African American led legislative?
Oh, and Secretary of State, because Jesse White.
Jesse White, okay.
So, we're still a strong minority. There's about 22 African Americans in the House, possibly or House and Senate, I can't remember the numbers, but we still can't pass a bill for any bill that we want. We're going to need Republicans and Democrats to help us because it takes 60 votes to pass a bill in the House.
So do you think that, first of all, are all the 22 African American legislators on board with you for one question, yes or no, then I move to the next point, on board with you to reduce violence and funding and resources?
Yes.
All of them are on board.
Yes.
Have all of you all come together then to craft policy that the Republican white, the Democrat white could then support?
You know, so districts are, and we have an agenda as the caucus, but if my agenda says that I want money for my community, then you think you're taking it away from theirs. It's sort of like the prisons.
Right.
The prisons are down in rural Illinois, and we say, let's take money from the prisons. Let's put more money here. Let's close some of those prisons. They're saying, if you close those prisons, you're taking our jobs. So they're fighting. And so it's tough.
Man, we need to revisit. We got to invite you back on because we need to talk about the legislators that legislate, and we need to figure out if we are a state.
Yeah.
And if we can't come together as state legislators
Right.
to say, hey, this area need funding so that the violence and crime do not trickle down in my area.
See, we could do that. We could do it. It takes political will, but it takes people power to make it happen. Who would have thought that we would have been able to pass gay marriage in Illinois?
Exactly.
But it happened because the people made it happen.
That's right.
That's what government is. You have to make it happen. There's no way we could pass any bill in Springfield if the people want it passed.
We have a caller. We have State Representative LaShawn K, please. Question?
Yes, and good evening, guys. I was listening to Mr. Ford as he was stating that a lot of realtors, black realtors, do not want to invest or buy property. Well, number one, you know you're wrong there. Just like when you know the West Side, when they thought that they was going to get the Olympics, all that property over there is owned by the sheriff's sales. And you know that. There was people over there trying to buy some of that property, and they still holding on to the property. But I heard you say something about Roseland. Listen, all those people you know on that west side own the sheriff's sales and the mortgage companies own all that. But now people don't want nothing over there, so they holding on little bits and little lots that they sell. Again, there's a lot of black realtors. There's a lot of black owners that own a lot of property that like to buy certain things. But listen, you say you are a realtor. Would you want to buy some property over there in certain California or down there in Lawndale? No. They was trying to get the police officers to move over there. No. If you want to own something, you want to try to get something that's better. But when we had an opportunity to get it, we still going through the political system to get things like the sheriff's sales. Sheriffs between the Catholics and the Chicago Board of Education and our politicians, they own more property than anything in the city of Chicago, and we all know that.
Thank you,
so let me get out there. Let me get out there so I can hear your response and see can we answer that what I was just asking.
Thank you. That's
You know, I think we talked about people wanting to invest. So you said there are a lot of black people with money.
Right.
And we were talking about how we could get those people to invest in businesses.
Yes, sir.
In those areas. We say we have a lot of black people with money. Why don't they invest so we don't have to worry about having the Koreans and the other individuals that's owning the business in our neighborhood? That's what I said. I said that there are a lot of realtors. I'm a realtor, and they should be running the REOs to foreclosures in the black communities. But what's happening, they don't get those listings. The listings go to someone outside of the community. And what happens, black people that live in the neighborhoods, they don't really get access to those listings, and so they get run out of their communities. So there is no doubt that property is golden everywhere you go. On the west side, in Lawndale and Austin, people want it. And so I've never said that blacks did not want to purchase in there.
The question was about the businesses in our community. Why black leaders and millionaires in Chicago.
Well, I guess you were just in a meeting with a bunch of black millionaires.
Yes,
I know you're not saying names, but you know in that meeting that you were in that there are, how many millionaires were in that room that you were in?
Listen, I can't count on 10 fingers.
Oh, so you were in that room and you know, and your question is why don't they just open up a corner store and provide quality?
Or find people from those communities to invest in, and this profit. Clearly, how is it that a liquor store owner could tell me that he makes $400,000 or more a month?
Someone said that.
$400,000 a month off of the liquor he sells to black folks, and he makes $400,000 a month in every store he owns.
Oh my goodness!
Now, if that's not a worthy investment, I don't know what an investment is. That's profit.
Man, that's why you're saying why don't they put at least?
Listen, man, if we don't control our own destiny, we're doomed. The bottom line is, you see ECCSC behind me and on my shirt. No population right now is more slept on than the ex-cons community. The formerly incarcerated, none. And the formerly incarcerated and the millennials put together, we can vote anyone in the office. And be careful, because that's what's about to happen. I'm telling you, aldermen who got 50 liquor stores in your area in the square mile, you're gonna be targeted as well, because you allow these individuals to sow seeds of destruction in our community while hiding their hand behind property taxes, liquor taxes, and all these other taxes to say they're giving something back when they seeding the aldermen, they seeding the local pastors in the community so that they don't say nothing. So these people have shut down State Rep. And then in closing, do you have anything else you would like to say on that point, or
no?
I
just want to thank. We have ex-cons for community and social change. I want to thank you for having this show, because this is where I think that you need a venue where you could invite people and understand what it's all about.
We have a caller, but we have to go, caller, real quick. Just make a statement. You got 30 seconds to make a statement so we can shut down.
You talking about me?
Yes, we got 30 seconds before we shut down, so please.
Speak.
I just wanted to talk about the properties. I didn't know I was on the air.
You're on.
Well, this is what we could do, caller. Please hold your comment or suggestion for next show, and it's good to hear you, and thank you for calling in. The show is about to conclude, but we thank you for calling in. Please continue to support ECCSC Live and our initiative. So
I'm a good friend. I'm a good friend of yours.
Oh, okay.
This is Nicole.
Hey, Nicole. Well, we have to go, so thank you, Nicole. I know you're always welcome. So take care.